Hello everybody, and welcome. I am the Shy Hat, and this is HackerFrogs Extra Credit. Today we're going to be working through some Over-the-Wire Bandit CTF challenges. Today we're doing our Extra Credit class after we did our last Linux OS operations workshop, which happened yesterday. Thank you very much to everybody who participated in all of the workshops for Linux OS operations. Today we're going to be going back to the Bandit CTF game that we started everything with, and we're going to be learning a few new concepts while we work through these levels. So if you remember that when we last left off in the Bandit CTF game, we were at level 10. We had just completed that, and we are now going to be continuing on, starting with level 11. All right, so if you remember, for each level of the Bandit CTF game, we have a web page over here which describes the level goals associated. The level goal which is associated with the level, and it usually gives you a good hint as to how to complete the challenges. So we're going to navigate to the next level over here, which should be level 11 to level 12. So today the first challenge is going to be level 11, and it says here that the level goal is: the password for the next level is stored in the data.txt file, where all lowercase a to z and uppercase a to z letters have been rotated by 13 positions. So it looks like there's some sort of cryptography involved in this challenge over here. So we also see some commands you may need to solve this level listed over here. In particular, we should pay attention to this tr command over here, which is one of the key commands that we're going to be using to solve this level. And there's also some helpful reading material listed over here, which is ROT13 on Wikipedia. So ROT13 is an encryption method. You can always, if you want to read up on it on Wikipedia, I am going to provide the link to that in the chat. You can go ahead and take a look at that at your leisure. But let me try to explain what ROT13 is without going over to Wikipedia. I'm going to open up a terminal window in my Kali Linux virtual machine over here, and I'm going to run my good old nano text editor. So what I want you to imagine is that we have all of the alphabet, all the letters from A, B, C, D, H, I, J, K, L, M, and that should be the 13th letter of the alphabet. And then we're going to fill our second row over here with the other 13 letters of the alphabet, which is N, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So in the ROT13 encryption method, each time you have a letter, in order to encrypt that letter, you have to rotate the letter's position in the alphabet by 13 positions. So conveniently in this list over here, A, anytime the letter A is in the original message, you would replace that letter A with the letter N. And likewise, if you have the letter M, you would rotate that letter by 13 positions each time that letter appears in the message, and that would result in the letter Z. But the opposite is also true. If you were to take any of the letters in the lower row over here, anytime the letter S is mentioned in the message, you would translate that 13 positions in the alphabet, and that would result in the letter F. Okay, so that is ROT13, the encryption method, and we're going to be encountering that in this particular level of the Bandit CTF game. So I'm going to close out my nano over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect to the Bandit CTF via SSH like we did in the previous sessions. So it's going to be the command let me make the output in the terminal a little bit bigger. So to use SSH to connect to the Bandit CTF game, we have to use the SSH command and then the name of the user that we're going to access. In this case, the username is Bandit11, and then we have to use the @ symbol to indicate that this is a username at a particular server. And the server is bandit.labs.overthewire.org. And we also have to specify a specific networking port to connect to with SSH. In this case, it's going to be -P and then 2220. And after you've input this string, we're going to be able to log into the Bandit CTF server. So I'm going to copy this command over to the chat just in case you need it as a refresher. Okay, so after we execute the command, it's going to ask for Bandit11's password. So I've been collecting and recording the passwords for these Bandit CTF levels, and the level for Bandit11 is this one right here. I'm going to provide it in chat just in case you need it. And what you need to do is we need to paste this. We need to copy that password string, and we need to paste it into the terminal. So in a Linux terminal, we need to use the Control-Shift-V keyboard shortcut to paste it in. When we paste in our password, we're not going to see any response from the terminal, and that's completely normal. So just paste it in and then hit enter, and that's going to log you in. All right, so once we're logged in, you're going to see the prompt over here, bandit11@bandit. So unless you see this prompt over here, you're probably not logged into the Bandit CTF server. So we can take a look at what is in this directory, and it is this file over here called data.txt. So if we were to read this file by using the cat command to read this file, data.txt, we would see that it is some sort of message right over here, but it seems to be encrypted. So what we could do is we could ask our good friend ChatGPT what it makes of this message, and we could see what ChatGPT thinks of this message and what it could potentially be. So we would ask inside of the prompt over here, what do you think this is? I think it might be encrypted. And then we paste in the message. Okay, so the chatbot comes back with, I think this is. The text you provided appears to be encrypted and encoded, and a common method for simple encoding is the ROT13 cipher, which shifts each letter by 13 places in the alphabet. Let's try decoding it using ROT13. Okay? So applying ROT13 to the plain text, this thing over here, results in the password is. Since ROT13 does not affect numbers or non-alphabetic characters, this right here remains unchanged. But it could be a more complex form of encoding or encryption. All right, so the first part of this says the password is. All right, so what we can do is we can use the Linux tr command in order to translate each one of these characters into another character. So we would ask, we could ask our good friend ChatGPT again, using the Linux tr command, how would we read a file encrypted with ROT13 and decrypt it? Okay, so it says over here that the tr command can be used with this particular syntax over here to do translation of the contents of the encrypted file right here. So it is tr and then capital A to capital Z and small a to small z, and that translates out to capital N to capital Z and capital A to capital M, and then small n to capital Z and small a to small a to small m, and then it would take the output of the input of encrypted file.txt. But what we can do right here is we can use the cat command and we can pipe this out to this tr command right here, and we would do that in the following method. Okay, so I'm going to close this. So we're going to cat data.txt, and then we're going to pipe that out. We're going to pipe the output of that command into the tr command. So let's get the tr command from right over here. We'll copy that, and then we'll go back to the console over here. Okay, so the output of data.txt is going to be used as the input for the tr command over here, and it's going to convert all of these letters, and it's going to rotate them by 13 positions and give us the resulting message. So when we run this command, it says here that the password is this string right over here. So this string right over here is the password for the next level. That would be Bandit level 12. So we can copy this, and we would use this as the password for the next level. So I'll paste this in chat just in case anybody wants to use it as reference. And the last thing we need to do is to exit out of this level. So we can do that by using the exit command. And remember, we have not exited the server, the Bandit CTF server, until we see that our terminal prompt is not bandit 11 at bandit over here. So we need to make sure that this is done. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to log into the next level. All right, so that was Bandit 11. Next, we're going to move on to to Bandit level 12. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the level goals of Bandit level 12, and we can do that over here. Bandit level 12 to 13 is this one right here. Okay, so the level goal over here states that the password for the next level is stored in the file data.txt, which is a hex dump of a file that has been repeatedly compressed. For this level, it may be useful to create a directory under /tmp in which you can work, using makedir with a hard-to-guess directory name. Okay, so it also has some commands you might need to solve this level. So this level is all about restoring a file from its hex dumped output, and then repeatedly uncompressing a file that has been previously compressed. This kind of challenge appears quite often in CTF games, where a file has been compressed over and over again, and you have to uncompress it over and over again in order to solve the challenge. So some of the some of the important commands that we are going to use to solve this level is this command right here, xxd, which is used to create hex dumps out of binary files and to turn hex dumps into binary files, which is a reverse of the previous process. Also, we're going to be making use of some compression tools that are a part of Linux, in particular the tar compression tool, the gzip compression tool, and the bzip2 compression tool. So let's go over and log into the challenge to begin. Okay, so we're going to go over to, and we're going to use SSH to log into Bandit level 12. Remember that we can do up and down arrow keys on your keyboard in order to get the previous commands in the command history when we're working inside the terminal. So this is going to be Bandit 12, and it's going to be the exact same as the previous SSH command that we used to log into the previous level, except that the level number is different. It's Bandit 12. So we execute that command, and it's going to ask us for the password. So remember that we copied the password previously, but we can always grab the password from right here and then paste it in with Control-Shift-V to paste it in. And remember, when you're copying something, it's going to be Control-Shift-C to copy. All right, so after we pasted it in, we hit Enter to log in to the server. And we know we've logged into the server because our prompt over here says bandit12 at bandit. Okay, so we see here there is the file data.txt. If we cat out the file over here, we see that this is a hex dump. So this was previously a binary executable program, but we used the xxd program in order to turn it into a hex dump, which is a hexadecimal representation of the program. So the hexadecimal representation of the binary file cannot be executed, but it is useful to render a binary file into hexadecimal form in order to do debugging or to perform other diagnostics on it. Okay, so in fact, if we try to read the file, but we don't cat the file, instead we head the file, which only returns the first few lines of output, we see that there is some ASCII data over here, which is this right here. It's important. It's called data2.bin. So data2.bin is probably a binary file, and this was probably the name of the file before it was hex dumped. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is what we really want to do is we want to create a temporary directory which we can work in. So the interesting thing about the file permissions on the Bandit CTF server is that normally we would go to the /tmp directory and we would be able to see everything in the directory, but in this case the /tmp directory doesn't let us see what's in the directory, but we can still write files here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a directory inside of the tmp directory in order to work on our file. So we're going to use the makedir command inside of the /tmp directory, and we're going to, just in case we don't manage to move into the right directory, we're going to make dir /tmp/ and we're going to make a hidden directory .HackerFrogs, just like this. Okay, so this is going to create a hidden directory inside of the tmp directory called HackerFrogs. So this is going to be the directory where we're going to be working from. But the first thing we need to do is we need to go back to our home directory. So it's cd tilde, and we see here we have the data.txt file, And next we're going to create the we're going to restore this binary file from the hex dump, and we do that by using the xxd. We do that by catting out this file, but we're also going to pipe that output into xxd, the xxd command, and we're going to reverse the hex dump process, which is going to turn the hex dump into a binary file. And then we're going to pipe that output. We're going to redirect that output into a file inside of the /tmp directory in the newly made HackerFrogs directory, and we're going to name this file data2.bin. So the name of the file that we saw inside of the xxd file right there. So when we run this file, it's going to create the file inside the /tmp/.hackerfrogs directory. Okay, so let's go over to that directory now. So it's /tmp/.hackerfrogs. And although we couldn't see anything inside of the TMP directory, because we created this directory inside of the TMP directory, we're able to see and interact with files in this directory. So here we've got the data2.bin file right here. The first thing we need to do is we need to determine what kind of file this is. So we're going to do file on data2.bin, and it says over here that this file is gzip compressed data and was previously called data2.bin. Okay, so we see that this is a gzip compressed file. In order to decompress this file, which is the goal, we're supposed to decompress this file over and over again, we need to change the file extension of this file. So we can change the file extension of this file to something that is compatible with gzip by using the mv command. Remember that the mv command isn't just used to move files from one directory to another. We can also use it to rename files. So we're going to mv to move data2.bin, and we're going to rename it to data2.gz. .gz is the file suffix that is compatible with gzip. So we need to do this. After we do that, we see that the file here is named data2.gz. In order to decompress the file, we're going to use the gzip command with the -d flag in order to decompress. So gzip -d, and then we have to specify the name of the file, which is data2.gz, and we run that, and the result is data2. So if we run the file command on data2, we see that this is a bzip2 compressed file, and in order to decompress this file using bzip, we have to use the we have to change the file extension of this to the bz file extension. So we're going to do that with another mv command. So mv data2, and we're going to call it data3.bz. And so this is going to make the file compatible with the bzip program. Okay? So now we have data3.bz, so we can decompress this with bzip2. So the command is bzip2-d for decompress, and then the name of the file. data3.bz. Okay, so that being done, that results in a file called data3. So we're going to take a look at what this file is. So this is a gzip compressed file, and it was called data4.bin. All right, so the next thing, so here the next step is to rename this file with the .gz file extension, and we can do this with mv data3, and then we're going to call this data4.gz, and this is going to make the file compatible with the gzip program. Okay, and then gzip d on data4.gz, and the resulting file over here is called data4. We need to determine what this is. This is a POSIX tar archive. So this is another type of compressed file, and we need to use the tar program in order to decompress this. So the tar archives, we need to rename those with the .tar file suffix. So it's going to be mv data4, and we're going to call this data5, data5.tar. And then in order to decompress using tar, it's going to be tar-xf to decompress it, and then it's going to be data5.tar. The result of that command is data5.bin. So this is the new file that was decompressed. We're going to run file on it, and we see that this is another tar. This is another tar archive. Okay, so we're going to rename this file data6.tar. Whoops. data5.bin into data6.tar. Okay, so data6.tar, now we need to decompress this using tar, xf, tar-xf, and then data6.tar. The resulting file is data6.bin. So well, I'm just going to tell you now that this goes up until the 9th iteration over here. So after another 3 iterations, we'll be done. Okay, so we're going to file data6.bin, and this is a bzip2 compressed data file. So we're going to rename this to data7. So we're going to mv data6.bin to data7.bz for bzip. Okay, and now we can bzip2 d for deflate, and then it's going to be data7.bz, and the resulting file is data7, and we're going to run our good old file command on that. And this is another tar archive, so we need to change the file extension of this to .tar. mv data7 to data8.tar. Data8.tar, we're going to tar-xf to deflate it, and we're going to data8.tar, run that, and the resulting file is data8.bin. File on data8.bin, and this is a gzip file over here. It was called data9.bin. Alright, so this is a gzip file now, so we're going to need to move data8.bin to data9.gz, and then we're going to gzip d on data9.gz, and the resulting file here is called data9. So if we run file on data9, we see that this is ASCII text, and this is the end of our journey over here. So after decompressing this 9 times, we find this this text file right here. If we read the text file, we are rewarded with the password for the next level. This is the password for Bandit 13. I'm going to copy that. Just in case anybody in chat wants to access this, I'm going to provide the chat over here. And that is Bandit level 12. Okay, so we're going to exit the server, and we know we've exited when we see that our prompt is not Bandit 12 at Bandit. Okay, so that was Bandit 12. We're going to move on to Bandit level 13. So before we do that, let's read up on what the goal is for Bandit level 13. 13 to 14. So the password for the next level is stored in the /etc bandit _ pass / bandit 14 and can only be read by the user bandit 14. For this level, you don't get the next password, but you get a private SSH key that can be used to log into the next level. Okay, and it also says here, note that localhost is a host name that refers to the machine that you're working on. So what do we need to solve this level? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using SSH in a different way that we've been using it up until now. So usually when we use SSH, we use a password to log in, but there's a use case of SSH where we're able to log in using a specific file instead of using a password. Okay, so let me demonstrate this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our terminal over here, and we're going to use the SSH command, but we're going to log into Bandit 13 instead of Bandit level 12. It's going to ask for the password, and the password for this, I'm going to grab it from chat. I knew that was a good thing to do. I'm going to paste it in, and we are now logged into Bandit level 13. Okay, and we see here the SSH key. The SSH key that was referred to in the web page back there. So if we read this file, this is an example of an SSH key. So it's basically a long string. This looks like a base64 encoded. This looks like a base64 encoded string. And what we need to do to log in using SSH with a key is we need to have the key located in the directory where we run SSH from. But and we're going to use the presence of this file instead of a password to log in. So how are we going to do that? So we aren't able to log into Bandit level 14 using this file from inside of the Bandit server. We need to go back to our original. We need to go back to our original server, which is the in my case is the Kali Linux, or in your case is whatever you're using as the to access SSH. So what we need to do is we need to copy the value of the SSH key over here. So we need to highlight all of this, and you need to copy this. So it's Control-Shift-C to copy. So after that, we can exit out of the server. So we can just exit out of the server, and now we're back to our previous terminal. Okay, so I'm going to be working inside of my /tmp directory on Kali. If you have a TMP directory on your Linux or your Windows, you might want to consider working within that directory as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the SSH private key from what we copied by we're going to use the nano text editor over here. So I'm going to nano, and I'm going to create a key called, bandit14 user dot key. So that's bandit14 user dot key. I'm going to go into my text editor over here, and now we're going to paste in the key contents that we copied from the other file. It's going to be Control-Shift-V to paste this in. And now this file over here has the contents of this RSA key that we're going to use to log in. We do from nano, we do Control-X to exit the text editor. When asked to save the modified buffer, type Y for yes, and then file name to write is bandit14 user.key over here. We just need to press enter to confirm that. Okay, so the interesting thing about SSH, using key files in order to log into SSH is that SSH will only allow you to use key files if they have certain file permissions over here. So what we need to make sure of is that there are no public file permissions over here. So the last three file permissions here have to be completely blank. So what we need to do is we need to change the file permissions on this file, and we can do that with the chmod command. So it's chmod 600 and the name of the file. So it's bandit14 user.key. So after we've done that, we see that the permissions on this particular file have been changed. Whereas previously they had read permissions for the group and read permissions for all users over here. Because we've changed the file permissions on this file, the only users who are able to read or write to this file is the file owner for here. And we need to make sure that this is the case if we want to log in using SSH using this file over here. So let's do that. In order to log into SSH using a SSH key file, we need to add the following flag. So it's going to be -i, and then we're going to need to provide the name of the SSH key file. So it's bandit14 user.key. Okay, so we need to make sure that the command over here includes bandit14 because we're going to be logging in as bandit14, and we need to make sure that the -i flag is included over here, as well as the name of the SSH key file. Okay, so with all that done, when we execute this command, it's going to log us into the bandit server as bandit user 14. So bandit14. Okay, so now that we're logged in, let's take a look at the level goals. So the password for the next level is stored in /etc/bandit_pass bandit14. Okay, so this is the location where the password is located. What we need to do is we need to highlight this file location over here and copy it. And then we can cat that file. So we can cat that file. We do cat, and then we paste in the file location with Control-Shift-V. And we see that this is the password for Bandit level 14. Okay, so this is the goal, and we have achieved it. So we can copy this password file. I'm going to paste it in the chat for everybody who needs to use it. And that is the end of Bandit level 14. Okay, so what we don't need to do right now in order to access Bandit level 14 is we don't need to exit from the server. So in order to go from Bandit 14 to Bandit level 15, let's read the level goal for this level. So we go back to the web page, and it's going to be 14 to 15. So it says here that the level goal is the password for the next level can be retrieved by submitting the password of the current level to port 30,000 on localhost. Okay, so localhost refers to the server itself, and what we can do inside the terminal is we can determine what ports are open on the system by using the netstat command. So the netstat command, and I usually use it with this this jumble of letters right here, tulpin, or it doesn't matter which order this list of letters is in, but this particular netstat command is going to show what open and listening networking ports there are on the system. And according to the netstat command, it's these right here. So it's going to be 3002, 3001, and these over here. Okay, so it doesn't seem like port 30,000 is open, but we can try it anyways. What it says here is we need to submit the password of the current level to port 30,000 on localhost. Okay, it says that here, it also says it lists some commands you may need to solve this level. In particular, we need to pay attention to this command right here, which is netcat. Netcat is a useful networking command to send information to different networking ports on different servers. Let's demonstrate. Let me demonstrate how to use this in this particular instance. So what we need to do is we need to echo out the password for this particular level, and this is the password right here. We're going to echo this out, and we're going to include some quotes over here just to make sure that this is interpreted properly, and we're going to pipe this out to netcat. So pipe and then netcat, and then we're going to specify which server to send the networking info to. Is going to be localhost. So localhost refers to this the current system that you're working on right now, and then we need to specify a port. In this case, it's going to be 30,000. So netcat localhost 30,000. What are we sending to this port? We're sending this password right here with the echo command. So we're going to run this, and it's going to send this info to this networking port on our current server. And we receive output in the form of correct, and then we get a password over here. This is the password for Bandit level 15. So we're going to copy this, and to everybody in chat who needs this, I'm going to paste it in the chat, and that's it. We've finished Bandit level 14. From here, we can exit the server. Okay, so next we're going to be logging into Bandit level 15, but before we do that, let's take a look at the goal for this level. So back at the web page, Bandit level 15 to level 16. Here, the level goal states, the password for the next level can be retrieved by submitting the password of the current level to port 3001 on localhost using SSL encryption. Okay, so it says here that getting heart beating and read R block. If we receive these messages, we can use the -IGN_EOF and read the connected commands on the man page. Okay, so So what we need to do on this level is we need to use SSL encryption, and SSL encryption can be used with the OpenSSL command on Linux. So the OpenSSL command on Linux is used to connect to servers using encryption. In this case, OpenSSL and SSH are kind of similar in which we're using a program to access a server on a specific port. But in this case, OpenSSL is used with different encryption methods in order to make sure that the whatever we're sending is encrypted and secure. Okay, so let's go back. Let's log into the server first of all. So back at our terminal, we're going to give the SSH command. We're not using a private key anymore, but we're logging into Bandit 15. Okay, so remember that this is the password for Bandit level 15. We need to copy that, and then we need to run this command here. It's going to ask for the password for Bandit level 15. Let us paste in the Bandit level 15 password, and now we're logged into Bandit level 15. So there's nothing. Oh, we have the Bandit 14 password here for some reason. Okay. So what was the goal of the level? Let's go back. So the password for the next level can be retrieved by submitting the password of the current level to port 30,001 on localhost using SSL encryption. Okay, so if we were to ask our good friend ChatGPT, how do we connect to a host using the OpenSSL command on Linux? Okay, so we get the basic syntax for the OpenSSL command over here to connect to a particular server and port. It's going to be this right here. It's going to be OpenSSL and then s_client and then -connect and then the name of the host name and then a colon and then the port number. Okay, so let's try that out. So it's OpenSSL and then -connect and then the name of the server of the server, which is localhost. Localhost being this server that we're currently on, and then we need to provide the name. We have to provide a port number to connect to, which is 30,001. Okay. So if we, we also need to use s_client. So OpenSSL_s_client, and then connect, and then the name of the server, which is localhost, colon, and then the name of the networking port. So it says read RU block, so we can exit from here. Remember that back at the level goal, it says, if it says read RU block, we're going to use the -IGN_EOF flag right here. So we're going to copy that. Whoops. We're going to copy that, and then we're going to go back to our terminal, and we're going to tack this onto the end. Okay, so we're going to run this again, but this time with the added flag. Okay, so this is not it. Let me look at my notes. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to do what we did in the last level, which is we need to use the echo command. So we're going to use the echo command, so echo, and then the password for this level, the password for the current level, which is this right here. I'm going to paste it in, and we're going to pipe that into the OpenSSL command. So this is what we need to send to the server, and then we're going to pipe this output into the OpenSSL command, which is going to connect to the local host, which is this server on this networking port, and hopefully this is going to get us our password. Okay, so we ran the command, and that's going to connect us to the service that is listening on port 30,001, and then we sent the password for this level, and then it sends us the password for the next level, which is this right here. So this was our goal, and we can copy this and use this to log into the next level, which is Bandit level 16. So let's finish off this next level, and then we can we'll call it a session right there. So we're going to copy this password, and to anybody who needs it, that is the password right there. And then we're going to exit. And before we log into the next level, let's take a look at what we need to do for this next level. So we're going to take a look at Bandit level 16 to level 17 over here. So what is the level goal? It is the credentials for the next level can be retrieved by submitting the password of the current level to a port on localhost in the range 31,000 to 32,000. First, we're going to find out which of these ports has a server listening on them, and then we're going to find out which of those speak SSL and which don't. There is only one server that will give the next credentials. The others will simply send back to you whatever you send to it. Okay, so some of the commands that we're going to be using to solve this level are SSH, which we're going to use to log into the level, and then we're going to use the OpenSSL to connect to one of the ports that is listening using SSL with S-Client over here. And we're also going to use the nmap command to figure out which one of these networking ports is running SSL. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Let's go back to the terminal. Okay, so we're going to log into Bandit level 16. It's going to ask for the password, and I'm going to provide it. So I paste in the password, and then we are logged in. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out which ones of these networking ports is open and which are using SSL. Okay, so we can do that with the nmap command. So nmap is used to enumerate networks. In particular, we can use this one to figure out which networking ports on this server are serving the SSL service. Okay, so we can do that with the nmap command. It's going to be nmap -s capital V in order to figure out which service and version each one of these ports is running, and then we're going to try to speed up the process by giving it 4 threads instead of whatever the default is, and then we're going to specify which ports to scan. So we're going to scan from port 31,000 to port 32,000. So this is the port range we're going to scan. So it's about 1,000 ports, and then we need to specify which server we're going to run this on, which is localhost. Localhost being the localhost refers to the current system that we're on. Okay, so when we run nmap, it's going to scan all these ports and try to figure out which versions. It's going to scan all the ports, figure out which ports are open, and then it's going to scan for the type of networking service is on those ports. So we run that, and it's going to start nmap over here. So this kind of nmap scan might take a little while, so please be patient. When it finishes running, it's going to show us which ports are open and what services are running on those ports. So in the meantime, let's go back to the level goal and review what we need to do. Okay, so we're scanning this port range right here, and we're trying to figure out which ports have a server listening on them. And we need to figure out which ones are running SSL, and then we need to figure out which ones are running SSL in a mode that is going to accept input instead of just repeating whatever it is back to us. Okay, so nmap is still scanning right here. So another way we could have approached this problem is we could have used the netstat command to determine which ports inside of this inside of the range are listening. Okay, so the nmap command has finished, and now we see that these ports inside of this the port range right here are open. So these are the open ports right here. It's this list of ports right there, and it also tells us which service is running on these ports. So this one is Echo, this is SSL Echo, this is also Echo, and this is Echo right here, but this one right here is running SSL unknown. So we had to locate which one of these ports is running SSL, and we need to figure out which ones are not echoing. So this one is the only one that fits that criteria right here, which is 31790. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the same command that we did in the previous level, but we're going to send it to this port in particular right here. Okay? So what we need to do is we need to do echo once more, and then we're going to echo out the current password, which is this right here, and we're going to pipe that out to OpenSSL, and then we're going to use sclient, and then we're going to do -connect, and it's going to be localhost, and then a colon, and then the number of the port we want to connect to, which is this right here, 31790. And let's see if that works. Okay, so let's try that with the -ign_eof like we did in the previous level. Okay, so we see here that we got the correct response over here, and then what it sends us is a SSH private key over here. All right, so this SSH private key is not this is not the password, but this is how we're going to be accessing the next level. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to copy this, and then we need to exit. We need to exit, and then we need to create a key file. So it's going to be bandit17 user.key, and we need to paste this in, and then we need to exit and save, and we need to change the mode of this file in order to use it correctly. And that's the end of Bandit level 16. Okay, so before we close out, I'm going to demonstrate how we log in as Bandit level 17 for the next level. We're not necessarily going to complete Bandit level 17, but I want to show you how to log in. So it's going to be SSH Bandit 17, and we need to do -I and then the name of the SSH key, Bandit 17 user.key. Okay, and now we're logged in as user Bandit 17. Okay, great. All right, so that was the Bandit CTF levels 11 to 16. I did an extra one just for fun. All right, so before we finish out today's stream, I'd like to tell everybody about what we're doing over at HackerFrogs. So HackerFrogs, we have a Reddit subreddit rather, and at HackerFrogs, the Reddit subreddit over here, we have all sorts of posts talking about how to get into cybersecurity and how to access free beginner cybersecurity educational resources. We have all sorts of threads about that. We also have our streaming schedule over here, so if you want to know when we're streaming next, go over to the Reddit, and we usually have a weekly streaming schedule over there. We also have a bunch of posts about different links that lead to different educational resources for relevant topics for beginner cybersecurity. For example, we've got one here for general computer skills and networking education resources. And if we click into that, I provided a bunch of links that lead to free resources about this particular topic right here. For example, we've got general computer and IT knowledge. We've got Professor Messer's A+ certification playlist right here, which is something I highly recommend. And there's also a course on computer hardware basics right here from the Skills for All website. And if you want to learn about computer networking, which is definitely very useful for doing anything in cybersecurity, we have our networking basics course over here. We have our network addressing and basic troubleshooting course. We have a course on introduction to networking from Hack the Box Academy, and we have a Network Plus certification playlist on YouTube from our good friend Professor Messer. So that's in addition, we are also a YouTube channel. So if you go over to YouTube, youtube.com/@theshyhat, you will see that we are currently live. But not only that, we have a bunch of videos that cover basic CTF challenges, which are good for learning beginner cybersecurity skills over here. Almost all of these cover the Pico CTF, the Pico CTF network of the Pico CTF education platform, which has a lot of beginner challenges on it. And these are very useful for learning, practicing, and honing your beginner cybersecurity skills. As well, every one of our live streams is recorded and can be accessed from the YouTube page. So in case you missed any in the past, you can always go back and watch one of those. It's not quite as good as being there live for the live stream, but it's always good if you missed a class and you want to go back and take a look at what was covered. All right, so thank you very much for joining. Oh, so actually, one thing I want to cover is that the US Cyber Games over at uscybergames.com, this is another beginner-friendly CTF competition, which I wanted to highlight because I'm certainly going to be taking a look at this, and maybe I could encourage some students to come and participate in this CTF competition as well. So it's going to be starting from May 1st until June 9th. So that is quite an ample amount of time for people to get into the competition and to solve some challenges. If you want to take a look at the competition and register for the event, it's going to be available from this link right here, which I'm providing in chat. Hopefully, yeah, I'd love to see a lot of you over there. There are going to be a lot of beginner-friendly challenges, and one of the best ways to learn about new cybersecurity skills is to solve CTF challenges. So, that's all for today. What we're going to be doing with the rest of the week is we're going to be covering Hack the Box on Friday. So on Friday, we're going to be covering more starting point boxes over at Hack the Box. We've finished our tier zero boxes over at the starting point. This is what we're doing to try to get into the Hack the Box education platform. We're getting used to logging into Hack the Box with their VPN key, and then we use the VPN key in order to access their network, and from there we can solve some of their educational modules. So over here we've got we finished tier 0. We're now at tier 1. Tier 1 is quite a bit harder than the boxes on tier 0, but we're going to be working slowly through some of these boxes over here. We've got one on SQL injection over here, and we have another one, SQL injection, and then this one is about, what is this over here? Is this just about FTP? Oh, okay. This one is about using logging into FTP in order to get information. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing on Friday. The stream is going to be later than usual. It's going to be starting at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To all of my friends on the East Coast, I hope you can stay up late to hack with us on Friday. But if not, you can always check out the VOD afterwards. But it's going to be a good time, and we're going to try to explain everything while we work through these educational modules. But thank you very much to everybody for watching today, and we will see you next time.